Johar everybody. So as we all know that February का महीना चल रहा है and Valentine's Day is around the corner. So इस टाइम पे डिस्कशन में हमेशा ये मुद्दा रहता ही है कि क्या किस करना पब्लिक प्लेस में लीगल है। आज हम लोग इसी टॉपिक पर डिस्कस करेंगे। Article 19(1)(a) of the Indian Constitution has provided us with the right to freedom of expression. But the same comes with certain restrictions, which is called reasonable restriction. And when in this context our right to expression becomes moral or indecent, that's where the restrictions come into play. But when we see the term morality, it doesn't have one specific definition which will be applicable on each and every one of this country. What is moral for me might not be moral for you, and vice versa. Similarly, what is moral for those who live in an urban society wouldn't be moral for those who live in a rural society, or vice versa. So, morality totally depends upon a person and the environment in which he has spent his time or in which he has been brought up. Therefore, it becomes difficult कि जब हम देखें एक एक्ट ऑफ किसिंग को तो वो किसके मोरालिटी से जज किया जाएगा? देखने वाले के मोरालिटी से, करने वाले के मोरालिटी से, या फिर जिस सेटअप पे किया जा रहा है उस मोरालिटी से? वेल, morality is not the subject of discussion for the day, because what is moral might not be legal, and what is legal might not be moral. Therefore, morality has nothing to do with law. And often there are situations wherein people fail to understand that something which is immoral for them doesn't make that particular action illegal. When it comes to kissing in public place, very often a group of people who are self-proclaimed protectors of law come up and catch the couple, and they try to teach them in a manner through which they actually harass them for behaving in a manner which is not inconsistent with what they would like to behave. Not only this, often the protectors of law, the actual protectors of law, that is police, they themselves get into disciplining the couple regarding how they should behave and how they should not. And whenever the police is involved in such cases, the section which the police puts upon the couple is 294 of the IPC. 294 of the IPC itself, if we see the provision, it is not very clear. It is the ambiguity of this law that the police tries to make a case of obscenity against the couple. The essential ingredient of section 294 of the IPC, first of all, is annoyance, and second is obscenity. If a person is annoyed, plus if the act which is being complained of is an obscene one, then only section 294 of the IPC is attracted. But the question remains is, how can we determine which act is obscene or not? Obscenity, it totally depends upon the person who is looking at it, who is looking at the act. For a progressive society, the act of kissing in a public place wouldn't be an obscene act. But for a regressive society, the mere fact that a person or a couple touches each other's hands would also amount to obscenity. So obscenity totally depends upon the type of situation or the type of environment which a person is. So it becomes really difficult to generally understand what actions would constitute to be an obscene act, cannot be considered to be an obscene one. In order to determine whether an act is an obscene one or not, it is important for us to realize or take into consideration the effect that that particular act puts upon the viewers or the audience. There's no debate that anything in excess of kissing whether it would amount to obscene or not. Anything which is more than kissing would obviously amount to obscenity. But kissing falls in a very sweet spot where it becomes very ambiguous, or I should say very vague, because it differs from place to place and society to society. People living in metropolitan cities and a very posh community, they are often very open to the act of kissing your partner in front of others, whereas the same would be a taboo when it is being committed in a village. People also argue that in n number of movies and motion pictures, the censor board gives U or UA. That means it is fit for children to watch. And those movies consists of a lot of romantic scenes as well as kissing scenes. So if these movies have passed the censor board and they have obtained the certification wherein such movies can be viewed by children, then in what context kissing in public is considered to be an illegal act and considered to be an offense? Well, the motion pictures, although being a very influential or effective mode of media, but we should not underestimate the effect or impact that a physical kissing right in front of us can have. Seeing something on the screen and seeing something live, those things are very different. Although seeing a romantic scene in a screen, it might not be igniting a sense of lust or sense of sexual desire, but seeing someone kiss in front of you has a very big potential of doing so. But then again, it would totally depend upon the facts and circumstances and the situation in which the act is being committed. There's no straitjacket formula that would determine whether a particular act would amount to an obscene act or not. Therefore, it becomes very important for the court to acknowledge in which situation and in which society such and such act has been committed. It is also extremely important to understand that there's a difference between obscenity and vulgarity. People may be disgusted of a vulgar act, but the mere fact that the person is disgusted doesn't make that particular act as obscene. Therefore, kissing publicly falls in a grey area where anything can happen. It totally depends upon the person who's the judge and who's going to adjudicate the matter. Therefore, it is advisable on my part that you should avoid getting into such trouble. So how can you avoid? Suppose you are caught by the police in matters in which Section 294 is being put upon you. For that matter, it is important to understand the aspect of Section 294. If we see Section 294, it is a section which is bailable in nature. So it is right of every accused that he gets bail whenever that section is put upon him. Further, the section only prescribes for a maximum period of 3 months of imprisonment. And since the section is bailable in nature, the police itself can provide bail to the accused if the accused provides sufficient sureties. But taking bail from the police itself doesn't end the case. You would still need to go to the court for the trial. So at this juncture, it becomes very important for you to show your communication skills. It is my advice that you should try to convince the police, stating that since the offense that is committed, which is alleged to have been committed, is bailable in nature, wherein I have a right to get bail, and the punishment prescribed by the law is also only of maximum of 3 months. So if a case is instituted under section 294, it would be burden on the police as well, because police is an important witness. He will also be needed while the examination of witnesses, for which he will have to leave the important job of his and come to the court. So you will have to explain that if so and so case is being lodged against you, you as well as police will be in difficulty. It will be a difficult situation for both of you. And what would come out of it? Merely a maximum of 3 months imprisonment? And also the offense is bailable in nature. So here you will have to show your communication skills, and you will have to influence and convince the police to drop the matter and end it. My concluding remarks for today's discussion would be that unless and until you are in a situation wherein you know that the society in which you are is a progressive one, and for whom kissing publicly isn't a problem, then only you might get into it, else it may cause you trouble. And if you get into a trouble, you have to try your best in order to convince the police not to proceed with the case. As of now, there's no straitjacket formula. So it is my humble advice for you to avoid getting into trouble. Thank you.